Thanks for tuning in to another episode of We Are Extension, a podcast hosted by K-State Extension, Douglas County. Throughout our episodes, we'll showcase all aspects of our work. This week, we're focusing on our community development program. We're proud to engage this community in all of our program areas, and this week, we're excited to share our efforts in building community capacity. Thanks for being here with us. We're glad you're interested. Now let's get started. Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us again. My name is Marlin Bates. I'm the County Extension Director for K-State Extension Douglas County, and I am the Community Development Agent as well. And today we're going to be talking not just about community capacity building, but organizational capacity building. Mm-hmm. And with me is Elesha Hazel.
Hello.
Thanks for being here today.
Hi.
Also, can I just take a moment and say thanks for everything you're doing to make this podcast happen?
Yes, no worries. Thank you.
I'm watching you manipulate this relatively large soundboard that just looks really confusing to me. And yeah, you're a total mix master. I think you got it.
You know what's funny? This is actually a small one.
Yeah, well, it's big enough that it looks confusing to me.
In comparison to the ones they have like at those concerts and things like that when I used to mix for certain other events, it's a baby.
Yeah, that's true. So this is actually probably easier than things you've done.
A lot easier. And I don't have to tell people, hey, go closer to the mic and stuff. And then there's feedback, all that fun stuff. But anyway, yes, I'm Elesha, the communications coordinator, joining Marlin for today's podcast.
Well, thanks again for being here and for hopping in to talk about something that I think we both know a little bit about. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about organizational capacity, you could imagine that we're talking about a lot of different things. Like if you're a nonprofit, that might mean, working with your board, or if you're an organization that's in the social service sector, that could mean something different. And I think one of the things that we acknowledge is that, there's a set of things that are sort of universal around organizations. And one of those things is people.
Yeah.
So I guess I just would say, Elesha, have you always gotten along very well with everybody?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That would be a lie.
I thought you were going to say absolutely.
No, not really.
Yeah. Well,
that'd be unrealistic, I think. Personality differences and all those things.
That's absolutely right, and completely natural.
Yeah.
And so
spice of life.
One of the things that we do is kind of start to think about, well, what are the ways we could strengthen ourselves in organizational capacity, but specifically in interpersonal relations. And so there's kind of a two-sided coin there. One is we got to learn a little bit more about ourselves, how we interact, how we hope to see the world, how we expect things to be. And then we have to learn a little bit about others.
Yeah.
And so a good organization will invest in that sort of interpersonal relationship development or professional development in that arena. And this program that we do in our community development effort is called Real Colors. It's a tool that can be used to help an organization do just that. Spend a little bit of time with the staff, with the board, volunteers even, starting to think a little bit about what do I need to learn more about myself, and how at the same time can I learn about all these people that I have to interact with at the office or on a regular basis.
When I started dating my now partner, one of the things we loved to do on date nights was to take those personality tests. And it was kind of like a fun thing to get to know each other and to know why we function the way we function. They're not like a perfect science, but it really dives a bit deeper into how we think individually and how we miscommunicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a big thing, yeah.
Well, and it helps you understand and maybe describe why people are doing the things that they're doing, or why you're doing the things that you're doing. I think one of the connections here to some of our other work in particularly like in the agriculture world, because you remember I used to be a horticulture.
Yes. Some people still come by the office and say, hey, where's Marlin? And I remember like, you haven't been here in a while. Because after Marlin, there was Tom, and now there's Sharon.
Yeah.
So there's two people in between.
Well, one of the classes that Sharon has just recently taught is botany. And I used to teach botany both in in extension, but also as a graduate student.
Oh, wow.
And I remember teaching students that, like, look, this isn't perfect. What we're going to be talking about, like plant morphology, for instance, is really just a human attempt to describe the natural world. And, these tools like real colors is exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. Like you said, it's not perfect science.
Yeah.
Now, there is, philosophers and there's behavioral scientists who certainly have poured a lot of energy into describing human behavior.
Yeah. There are also a lot of people who just do it with different shows people watch. Are you this person?
That's
Are
true.
you that person? I retake it several times to get the person I want.
There are complicated ways to describe that, and then there are kind of more simplistic ways to do it. I would say real colors is a more simplistic way to do it because it really kind of boils humans down into 4 different categories.
Just to give people a start, I guess.
Yeah.
To dive deeper.
Well, if you think about, there's like other personality type instruments that are out there, like Myers-Briggs as an example.
Is Myers-Briggs the one that says INFPG?
You have
those numbers.
You have the 4 letters. There's another one that's called Clifton Strengths. So
I don't think I know that one.
People might be familiar with those tools.
Okay.
I think there's like 16 to 40, maybe 36.
I can't remember which one I am.
Different classifications.
I just remember some of them being ambassador, protagonist, those kinds of things, the way they label those. So they don't have things like this one. It's just blue, green, orange, gold, all that stuff.
Yeah. So I think this is why I'm saying that this is a more simplistic option.
And it's guided as well.
Which of course means that it's, not going to be as specific because they're really just 4 things. And, the reality is you just listed the colors. So you've got gold, orange, blue, and green. And it's not like you, Elesha, are 100% one color.
Yeah.
Like you are all 4 of these things. The question is just like, where's the balance?
Where's the balance? Yeah. While I was preparing to talk to you about this, I realized that I saw the first line of probably gold or something. I'm like, that is 100% not me. So it's kind of like I want to discount everything under gold. But then as I keep looking, I'm like, okay, that one little thing in gold is definitely me. And you won't be able to see it because you're listening, but they are very colorful. And it has a cute little booklet. And I get excited when I see colorful things that have like strategic things. It's the organizational part of my brain. So I just wanted to share that with the listeners. Like, it's super cute.
Well, and I think that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's dive a little bit into like what is this assessment, or how would an organization maybe kind of
benefit from it
go through with it.
Okay.
So I've been approached by organizations. So I'm a facilitator for Real Colors, and so I've been approached by organizations here in Douglas County, Kansas, where they're saying, Marlin, here's the thing we need help with within our organization. And, sometimes that thing really boils down to interpersonal relations. And when that's the case, I draw up the Real Colors card and say, here's an exercise that I can offer for you. We'll have a conversation about when we can all get together, all the staff or all the volunteers or all the board members or maybe all of the above in the same room. And everybody gets this little booklet, and you're talking about how colorful and beautiful it is.
Yeah, it is nice. I like it. I don't know. There's a primary school brain part of me that never really died that just loves colors.
Well, so what we do is we bring everybody together. We set the ground rules. We make the expectation that, we're not
I actually remember when we did it in the office.
We did.
Yeah, I remember when we did it in the office. And I have to say, I know certain trainings, people feel like that was a waste of time. You could have just had what is it called? Those things they put you online for, like cybersecurity training instead of stuff like that.
So like a webinar or something.
Yeah, it could have been a webinar of some sort. But instead of it being a webinar, I see that this is so cool because I actually walked away looking at a few of my coworkers differently and understanding a bit more how they communicate. Real Colors, they are more
methodological?
Sure, yeah. Tongue twister for me. Goodness. And they speak like that. They communicate in that way. So it's not them being blunt or rude or anything. That's just the way their mind works. So they just give it point blank. And I'm like, okay, I understand. This is not you trying to cut me off or anything. But this is just your color energy showing.
That's absolutely right.
So that's one way. I think I always like to take at least one thing away from a training to feel like, yes, this is totally worth my time. And I took that and I looked at my coworkers a little bit differently, understanding a little bit where they came from.
And hopefully you learned a little bit more about yourself, like maybe why you have the idiosyncrasies that you do.
Yeah.
As well as, why your colleagues have those idiosyncrasies.
Yeah. I don't really remember my original answers, but I feel like similar to my other ones, I would probably change sometimes as I go.
That's exactly right. It's been a few years.
It has
totally would be worth redoing the exercise just to see, because you shouldn't expect that you're static on this front. Things change.
Yeah.
When we're doing one of these workshops, one of the first things that we do is we set some ground rules, and it's really just about expectations of how we're going to be treating each other, how we're going to be interacting with each other. One of the things we say is like, there's really no color bashing. Only 4 colors, and all of them are beautiful and wonderful, and they bring a lot of positive energy to the table.
Yeah. Diversity.
Yeah. Then we dive into like these independent exercises, which are super simple, right? So like there's these 4 giant cards, like 8 inches by 8 inches.
Yeah.
And these are the colorful things you were talking about.
Yeah, I remember.
So there's like pictorial guides, so you can just kind of react to the colors or react to the pictures that are on the color card, order those, and then just kind of sit there and reflect and think about which ones are the ones that really speak mostly to you. And, you know, one of the things we also ask for people to do is like, make sure you're thinking about like your true self.
Yeah.
Not what you think people want you to be.
But self-reflection.
What you really are.
So on to speak.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of those cards, there's some descriptive terms. There's some short statements that kind of describe things that are associated with those colors. And then there's a little ranking quiz. And I think...
I did do some.
Which ones did you do?
I did the general ranking quiz beforehand because I wanted to know. I couldn't find my own notes from the initial meeting we did. And I was going to look for it later to see if I could compare where I was to where I am today and see what changed. But I did take the color survey. And I kind of did things like the first couple to see where I'm at.
So it's just real quick questions or like the start of a sentence and there's 4 options.
Exactly.
And you just kind of rank them.
Yeah,
like
based on which I would answer it this way. And this way would go into a category. And at the end, you tally up your score and you get what you're closest aligned with and what you have a little bit of this and that for too.
So based on those 3 points of sort of personal introspection, you're taking a look at the pictorial guides, you're taking a look at the short statements, and you've done this ranking exercise with the color survey. That's how you come up with your grand totals. So you'll have points in every color. Sometimes you have, you know, just one really high color, and then everything else kind of bunched towards the middle or bottom. And then sometimes you have 2 that are pretty high, you know, within a few points of each other, and 2 that are kind of low. Sometimes you'll have a tie, you know.
I think, I remember now. I think I was basic all the way through.
All right, basic wasn't an option.
I know, but basic meaning that all my colors are pretty much well evenly matched across the board.
Even.
I think so. And I was disappointed because one of them I did not think I would resonate with more, but I don't know. It was interesting.
Well, so I think that, thank you for saying that was interesting, because I think that's the point, right? Like, we want to make sure that people are interested in this kind of exercise, because it's not just about, you know, we gotta do something about the group dynamic in the office or with the team or something like that. So hopefully it is a little bit of fun. But I think one of the things that's really cool after that individual exercise, because it's not all that we do, we'll actually take groups by their color and kind of push
their
them
dominant
off.
color.
Yeah, push them off to a corner. And then so like all the blues will get together in one corner, then the greens over there, the golds over there. And the oranges elsewhere, and then they just have a conversation among themselves. Really, they're asking themselves, like, what are our values? What are our needs? What are our strengths? And then what is it that brings us joy? And they all have like a big, you know, the big wall chart.
Oh yeah, the thing you stick on the wall, the giant post-its.
Giant sticky note.
Yeah.
And then they get to sort of like put a report together. So like each color will have their own report.
Yeah.
So they'll spend 15 minutes doing that.
And it's not an in-depth report, of course. It's just like a general information that we all agreed on and just bringing that back to the full group as a whole.
And hopefully you're able to do that while thinking in that primary color headspace, not just sort of like everything headspace.
Yeah.
And so what is revealing about that is that you realize that maybe you have an understanding of what it means to be gold, or maybe you have an understanding of what it means to be blue, or whatever your primary color is. In that small group interaction, you get that added benefit of other perspectives.
Yeah, within the same.
From other people who are quote unquote the same.
And had varying other colors littered within as well.
And then you have to like produce a report, right? Just an oral report out to the rest of the groups. So, you know, you got to take responsibility for your color. You got to represent your color. And so that also is a growth opportunity for you to have to characterize that verbally.
I remember, in addition to that, it was something cool happened. Like all the people I was on the team with, we were doodling a lot on our papers. And then they had other people who made graphs and stuff on theirs. So it was interesting, the dynamics in which the people that were grouped together, they had similar ways of creating a report versus the other set of people.
That's right.
And how they did it. Because there was no doodles on someone's papers.
Right.
And we had like grass and trees and different things.
There's a certain color that is pretty strictly neat and neat and orderly. So you actually get a benefit from hearing the other team's report out as
definitely.
well. And so I think that's obviously one of the other benefits. Is that you're not just hearing from, you know, one coworker over there in the corner. There's a group of them over there that are representing that color that's a little different than yours, and you get to hear about what makes them tick. And so you can imagine that an exercise like this, with both the sort of self-reflection opportunity, but then the small group conversations with the report out and the group share, can be beneficial both to help you learn a little more about yourself and to learn a little more about the people that you're working with.
Yeah, and I'd go as far to say that a lot of the times people don't see such real world implications where you can implement the things you've learned in actual everyday life. And I'd like to just put a little shout out there. I was able to use this almost immediately with coworkers, like I said in the beginning. So even though it's a good team building activity and a good self-reflection and introspection and viewing how other people think, those are all good, but it also offers something that I could take outside. And I'm like, okay, maybe that person's a bit golden minded. Maybe that's what it is. So it's like, although it's something you do to build team and build yourself in some capacity, it's something that you can take outside after it as well. So that's a lasting benefit. So
and it's relatively easy to remember your top color or your top two if they're close. And, you know, that is something that you will carry with you for a little while. It fades.
Yeah, it does.
After a while.
Yeah, because we did it. I didn't remember.
Because you didn't even remember your
and then when it came back to me slowly and surely.
Like that.
Yeah.
So I think the more you could expose yourself to this kind of exercise, the better. So I'm not saying like an organization should bring me in regularly to just kind of repeatedly do this one particular thing. But I think this one particular thing could be an element of a larger scheme to gain that sort of exposure to ensure that you've got, you know, a healthy workplace culture and that you've got, you know, team members who have, you know, developed good interpersonal relations skills. You know, I think the other element of it is too just kind of like having more global understanding of what makes people tick.
And of course, this won't solve all the problems, but it's a good way to start to get a look into.
Well, for instance, just like having a sense of like, okay, here are the folks who are really kind of abstract thinkers, and here are the people who are really concrete thinkers, or here are the people who might treat a deadline abstractly or treat a deadline concretely, or these are the people. And so just having a way of, you know, understanding and describing why people are doing the things that they're doing, I think is really helpful. And I think this is one really interesting and relatively quick way for an organization to do some development. So what do we need? We need, you know, 2, maybe 3 hours of a group's time. And so if this is something that interests you as an organization, if you feel like this is something that would be worth a minor investment in time and money, then I'm here for you. So that's the pitch.
Yeah.
We've got this program. I'm a facilitator. I'm happy to go out.
Yeah. And you've done it a few times before as well, too.
Yeah, because of our community development mission. You know, we've got to do this. We've got to appreciate and understand that we have organizations across the county who you know could benefit from something like this, and this is one of our offerings.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Everybody has to start somewhere, and I think it's always good to have a foundation in place to build off of when it comes to not only interpersonal relationships, but how they see the people that come into their office and go and things like that as well. So it's always a good start.
It's broadly applicable. And in fact, whenever we send you home with this little notebook, it's not uncommon for people to hand that over to their partner. I want you to take
That
this.
night, I totally did that.
Absolutely. It is irresistible.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, answer this. 4, 3, 2, 1, which one?
Yeah. And even if you just spend 5 minutes kind of talking about it, it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Conversation starter.
There's a light bulb for sure that's gonna
Definitely.
get kicked on.
Yeah.
Well, Elesha, thank you for being here with me again. So happy to pull you out from behind the curtain on the podcast.
I peek out from time to time.
Yeah, well, we love it. And this concludes our podcast for this week. So thanks again for being here.
No problem. And remember, everyone, the information that he will have for you to contact him will be in the show notes. So if you want to, you can do that or call our office. The numbers and everything will be provided for you there and on our website. So be sure to check it out. So
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to K-State Extension Douglas County's podcast. We hope you tune in again for not only more research-based information and resources you can trust, but also good conversation. Until next time.